Today on Monkey Life. From Russia with love, Alison and Jarno are in Moscow to collect a baby orangutan.
Clip. Yeah. Good girl. Excellent job.
Marmoset Frank meets Douglas, his new housemate.
Cookie. Come on, Frank, calm down a bit.
And Al the lemur experiences Malagasy for the first time. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
This is going to be the first day that they've ever stepped outside, ever in their lifetime.
The park provides a home for more than 250 monkeys and apes from 20 different species. It's a beautiful morning in Moscow. Alison and the leader of the orangutan care team, Jarno, have flown to the Russian capital on a special mission to collect a baby orangutan. They're going to take her back to Dorset to be with the other youngsters in the nursery group at the park. Monkey World is the European creche for orphaned orangutans. It's a joint collaboration between zoos and wildlife parks throughout Europe, including Moscow. Baby orangs born here or elsewhere in Europe who become orphaned or rejected by their mothers are sent to Monkey World so they can be cared for and grow up with others of their own kind.
This is Jarno and Barbara.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. We have been emailing for 10 years or more. So, yeah.
Moscow Zoo has been successfully involved previously in the creche arrangement. 12 years ago, young female Jolie was sent from here to the park in Dorset.
Here at Moscow Zoo, they actually have two different species of orangutan, both the Sumatran orangutans and the Bornean. And, you know, the Sumatran female that they have here cares for all of her babies, but the Bornean female just doesn't seem to look after her infants. So this is the second baby from Moscow that will be joining the orangutan creche at Monkey World.
Lauren, or Mimi as she's affectionately known by the Russian staff, is 21 months old. Like her sister Jolie, she was rejected by her mum at birth and hand-reared by the keepers.
Hello, Pipsqueak. Hello, Mimi.
It's now time for her to be integrated into a group of her own kind, and the team at Monkey World are experts in achieving this.
Good girl.
Hey, Mrs.
Hello.
Mrs. Oh, Mrs. Mimi.
Hi, you. You can take, but you take from our hand. Good girl. Good girl. No. Yeah. And the blanket.
But Mimi is shy with strangers and not easily won over. For the next few days, Alison and Jarno, who will be Mimi's main carer at the park, must work to gain her trust.
I know what you are thinking.
It's a softly approach designed to make Mimi as comfortable as possible in the presence of two strangers.
Oh.
There we go. First one.
They soon start making progress, initially with Mimi becoming brave and trusting enough to be hand-fed raisins.
You want this one? Okay. And should I have one too? Yeah.
And then going one further and taking a sip of water from the bottle on offer.
Good girl. Already. Excellent.
Things are progressing nicely, which is just as well, because in a couple of days, Mimi will be transported back to the park in this travel box. But she won't be going in the cargo hold. Alison has obtained special permission from the British authorities and the airline for the little baby orangutan to travel with her in the cabin. That way, Alison and Jarno can keep an eye on her and minimize any stress while giving her food and water.
Clip. Yeah. Good girl. Excellent job.
These next few days and hours are vital to ensure the move runs smoothly. By the end of the day, Jarno has made a breakthrough, with Mimi trusting enough to enjoy a little play session, although she's somewhat feisty.
Yeah.
That is already amazing. Hopefully, by tomorrow and next day, I'll be able to just spend good time with her and feeding her as well. That is will gain her confidence even more, and from there, she will climb up to me and she sort of knowing me, basically.
It's been a good first day, but Alison doesn't want to push it any further. Tomorrow they can continue building up trust with the youngster. But for now, Mimi can head off with her Russian keeper for a well-earned dinner. While Alison and Jarno are getting to know Mimi, back at the park in Dorset, the orangutan team are getting everything ready for her arrival. Alison has let them know Mimi doesn't have access to lots of climbing apparatus in Moscow. As they don't know how well she can climb, they're adapting one of the bedrooms to make it safe and comfortable and give her the chance to grow in strength and agility.
We'll need to gauge sort of how well she's moving around, and you know, we have a lovely playroom here at the nursery, but there's a big height to the enclosure, so we need to be confident that she's climbing well and she has that ability in the bedroom area, which is slightly safer, before we move her through into the playroom area. So I think that's the pattern that we'll take. And obviously they've all got experience, the team, having, you know, reared Bulu and Rika and seen the different stages of their development. So we kind of mirrored what they had at that age, and that's what we've gone with for Lauren.
While the work goes on indoors, outside, the rest of the nursery group are enjoying the sunshine. There are currently 6 members here. The 2 adult females, O'Sheen and Roro. And then there are the 2 boys, 7-year-old Jin and 6-year-old Sylvester. And finally, the 2 youngest members, Bulu Mata and Rika. It'll be important to get Mimi socialised within the group as soon as possible. But the team will assess her for the first couple of days before deciding who she'll meet first.
We have options here. You know, we have different animals that we can introduce to Lauren and gauge what's working for her. So if she's settled and reassured by the presence of an adult female, that's going to be great. But if she feels more comfortable around animals that are a similar size to her, that's also going to be good for those initial periods of contact. So, you know, we would imagine developmentally that her and Bulu and Rika are sort of on a par, so therefore play sessions are going to be at a level that she can cope with. And so it's a way of getting her contact straight away, but an animal hopefully that she's not too worried about because they're a similar size to her.
The most likely first contact will be with Roro. She's settled in really well since moving from Tuan's group a few months ago. All the youngsters have taken to her, and even O'Sheen hasn't been put out by having another adult female on the scene. Jin and Sylvester spend most of their time happily playing together. Life for them at the moment is one big rough and tumble session. Bulu and Rika, although still very close, are showing signs they're starting to become more independent. Bulu is now brave enough to play with the older boys, whilst Rika is loving her one-on-one sessions with O'Sheen. And now there'll be an addition to the ranks, an extra playmate for them all to have fun with. It's a big morning for the park's newest arrival, 2-year-old Marmoset Frank. He used to have the run of a family's front room at a house in the Midlands before Alison arrived to rehome him. His owners had bought him via the British pet trade, but had come to realise just how difficult caring for one of these tiny primates is. When space became available at Monkey World, Alison agreed to take him in. Frank spent his first night in one of the Marmoset bedrooms, and this morning is about to meet his new housemate Douglas for the first time. Although they're different marmoset species, it shouldn't matter as their behaviour is very similar.
Frank is a Jeffroy's marmoset and Dougie is a common marmoset. So there may be some slight differences in their vocalisations, just very, very slight ones. They will still do a lot of the same calls. They may be slightly different in tone, potentially, and volume, but they will still do the same kind of chuntering, aggressive noises, the same contact calls.
Frank is almost 2 years old and fully mature, but apart from the first few weeks of his life, he's lived on his own. He has no social skills and doesn't know how to be a marmoset.
In the wild, marmosets will live with their family groups for up to 5 years, so in that time learning how to be a marmoset. He obviously hasn't had that ability or the chance to learn those things, so it's very difficult to know how a new animal is going to react to a marmoset when we do an intro, because they don't necessarily know what the right thing is to say or the right vocalisations to use at a particular time. That's one of the main problems that we get when we get in rescued marmosets, is that they simply don't know how to be a marmoset. Ready, you two?
It's Douglas who makes the first move and noisily heads in to see Frank. But Frank, in his excitement, is like a bull in a china shop and dashes across to meet his new housemate. Douglas is immediately on the defensive and his chuntering becomes more forceful.
Dougie.
A bewildered Frank doesn't know what to make of it and starts alarm calling.
Really loud, Frank.
He simply doesn't know when to stop.
Come on, Frank, calm down a bit.
But there's no negative physical contact or aggression, and both marmosets, although vocal, do seem interested in one another. It's 45 minutes before Frank realises Douglas means him no harm.
Hey there, good boy. You calming down a bit?
And with the help of a few live locusts, both marmosets start to relax a little.
Hopefully everything will go a bit slower and they'll just get used to being around each other a bit better, and then hopefully get a bit closer and get to have more contact, positive contact.
Karen and Steph will keep an eye on the pair for the rest of the day. But unless they see more positive interactions, such as playing and grooming together, they'll separate them and try again tomorrow. There hasn't been any serious physical confrontation between the two males, so the team are hopeful tomorrow will be even better, and the two boys will develop a bond that could last for the rest of their lives. It's a big day for Al the lemur over at Malagasy. Since his arrival a little over 4 weeks ago, he's been introduced and integrated into the whole troop. And now he's about to go outside and have full access to the large enclosure for the first time.
Coming out in Malagasy is going to be quite daunting, I think, for Al, because it's obviously a really big enclosure. It's sort of a natural woodland, so we've got plenty of very high trees. We've got all of the sort of fences and the sort of rope bridges and things like that for him to sort of learn where they are and kind of how to navigate them. So it's going to be a lot to think about for him. So it's going to be a real experience, but all of our lemurs love living here and therefore forest woodland. So hopefully Al will fit right in. Come on then, you boys.
There are 11 lemurs in the group, 9 boys and 2 girls, all led by dominant female Fennel.
You ready, guys? Rest of them will come in.
Al is the last out of the group, probably because he's still getting used to the doors and slides. But once outside, he doesn't mess around. He busily checks out the large outdoor space, scent marking most things as he goes along. But it's the sight of all the tall trees that really grabs his attention. The team aren't sure of his background, so no one knows if he's ever been up a tree. They'll need to keep a close eye on him. They needn't have worried. Al takes to the trees like it's the most natural thing in the world. And it is, for a lemur.
He seems very, very comfortable actually, going quite high up in the trees. You can kind of see him thinking about it a lot more than our guys when he wants to go down and move to the next place. So he's just got to kind of learn the layout of the enclosure and figure out what routes are the best for him. And also, you know, he's got the sort of broken tail, so I don't know whether that maybe makes him just think that little bit harder about the way he wants to go, kind of up and down the trees. But once he's up there, he seems to just be having a lovely time. And he's actually moving very, very confidently, which is nice to see.
Steph has put out pieces of apple for the lemur's breakfast, and they happily get stuck in. But once they've polished it off, they head out to enjoy the beauty of Malagasy. Some, like Friedrich and Fennel, take to the trees, while others, like Kaya, use the wooden bridges to get around. Sirius has found a bit of spare apple and is eating it out of sight of the others. Indiana and Fennel are making the most of the warm sunshine, in true lemur style. As for Al, he's loving the freedom of this new environment. It helps that he's been accepted by all the other lemurs, not least female Kaya, who's taken a shine to the new boy, and the feeling is mutual.
She's kind of like his hired pit bull at the moment, his little bodyguard. She's quite a ferocious, feisty little thing at times, so she's really given him quite a service and protecting him, taking him under her wing. And they'll kind of like meander off and go apart and do other things for a little bit, but you quite often see Kaya kind of peeking her head round, checking on where he is. And if he sort of walks past her, he has to stop and have a little sniff and a little groom before they kind of move on to the next thing. So their friendship seems to be working out really kind of well for him.
Life for these lemurs can be thirsty work, and it's great to see that everyone seemingly gets on so well. The troop have accepted Al into their ranks with little fuss, and he, in turn, seems quite content and at home in his new surroundings and with his new family. It's the second day of Alison and Jarno's trip to Moscow Zoo. They're here to collect and rehome a 21-month-old baby born in orangutan called Mimi. She was rejected by her mother at birth and has since been raised and cared for by the staff here. But she's had very little contact with others of her own kind. Things went well yesterday as Mimi started to bond with Alison and Jarno, eating and drinking from their hands.
You want this one? Okay.
They even managed a little rough and tumble session with her. This morning, Jarno is keen to chat with Mimi's Russian keepers and gain any information he can about her character, health, and any dietary issues she may have. He's already discovered she has a milk allergy. A quick scan reveals Mimi is microchipped and the location of the small chip.
Probably it's here.
Okay, on the left side.
Yeah.
On the left side.
On the left side,
shoulder.
yes.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Ну что, мучаем?
Jarno is going to spend the first part of today alone with Mimi. He'll be one of the key members of the team looking after her at Monkey World.
Good girl. Good girl.
With no one else around this morning, she'll be able to concentrate on getting to know him better, and vice versa.
Good girl.
However, for such a little orangutan, she has an aggressive streak.
No. No.
Being on her own for most of her short life so far, Mimi has become spoilt and has decided she doesn't want or need the new strangers. She has a full set of teeth and knows how to use them.
Don't bite.
Her bite is quite hard, but it is what it is. And in these last few days, she's slightly calmer, and hopefully by end of the day today, I will get good relationship with her.
As the morning progresses, things improve to such an extent that Mimi allows Jarno to pick her up and take her on a little tour to visit her orangutan relatives. She'll soon be saying goodbye to one family and hello to another in Dorset. But in between is a long journey in a travel box.
Lena.
Alison wants to try out a sedative to relax Mimi and make the trip less stressful. But she needs to get the dosage just right.
Oh, good girl. Let's get all the good stuff off the top, first of all. Such a clever girl. It's a very mild sedative just to relax her and calm her down, because when we take Lauren to the airport, we're actually going to have to take her to the cargo area of the airport, where she will be held for 2 hours while paperwork is processed, and then she will be delivered to us on board the plane before all of the other passengers get on board. So during that time, it's going to be really stressful. She has never known anything in her short life other than the keepers and her area here at Moscow Zoo. So for Lauren's sake, we want to make her relaxed and feeling a little bit tired, but fully awake and conscious, so that she's healthy and alert, but just maybe ready to have a little nap when she is going through that whole process in the cargo area.
They also want Mimi to get used to the box so she doesn't become stressed when the time comes to leave for real.
So, good girl. Basically, we are trying to train Lauren really quickly to walk in and out of the box by her own choice. It is far nicer if she chooses to walk into the box and is in control. Then it means that it's something fun and interesting she can do, as opposed to us having to manhandle her and fight her into the box.
Alison and Jarno have done all they can in the time available. Tomorrow, Mimi will be heading to Dorset to join the gang in the nursery group. But there's one final job her Russian keepers want to do before she leaves. As Mimi is going to travel on board the plane, they want to make sure she's clean and doesn't smell too much. It'll be a big day for this little girl tomorrow.